Why is Morisette Amon's performance of Defying Gravity awesome? Hi, I'm Dr. Mark, and I'm going to help you sing and perform more like the top artists around the world. I'm a professional voice teacher, performance coach, and opera stage director. I've helped thousands of singers around the world learn the techniques and methods that got the top singers to where they are. Okay, so one of the things I love about this COVID season, and I know doesn't feel like there's much to love about it, but there are some really great things, is that we're getting these performances from some of these really famous performers, these people that we love to hear and sing on the stage and in the studio and in music videos and all kinds of stuff. But we're now getting to see them without all that extra, and we get to just see with that with all taken away if they're just at home doing their thing almost, right? I love it. It lets us see what they're really doing without being distracted by anything else. Now, I haven't seen this video yet, so I'm really excited to see what happens and what she does. So let's check it out.
Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. Too late for second guessing. Too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts. Close my eyes and leave. It's time to try to find gravity.
Okay, so many cool things. I just want to keep it playing because I want to see what else is going on. So number one, yeah, they're adding reverb in here and there's some music mixing going on. But the cool thing is we're performing here. There's no extra frills of what's going on here performance-wise. It's just her, right? Like I would imagine if we found her at home, just casual with friends and family, there's got to be pretty close to what we'd find, right? So first, do you notice how crisp her text is? Like she is being so articulate with her mouth, tongue, and teeth. That's something that's really crucial, especially when we're singing music theater, because the text is number one. It's so important with music theater that we understand every single word. And is that happening here? Totally. Other thing that you're noticing is that she has to be super articulate with those lips, tongue, and teeth without it getting tight and tense, right? And we're doing a really awesome job here. Are you seeing a ton of tension creeping in here? No. She's just letting it move and be flexible. Really, really important. What can you do today to do that? Well, just try singing, being as expressive as you can, just keeping that jaw moving, the tongue, keeping it moving without it getting tight or tense at all. And see what that does. It's going to feel a little silly to start, but give it a try. Other thing you're seeing here, as we talk about all the time, upper tooth smile, especially when you get to the middle higher range. 80% of yawning smile here in the back, jaw releasing down and back, tongue forward and flat, consistent airflow all the way up. And it's spot on.
I think I'll try defying gravity, and you can't pull me down. I'm through accepting limits, 'cause someone says they're so. Some things I cannot change, but till I try I'll never know. Too long I've been afraid of losing love, I guess I've lost. Well, if that's love, it comes at much too high a cost. I'd still not mind defying gravity.
Okay, so did you notice there on the cost, you went cost, and then at the end it turned into an O? That O warmed it up at the bottom. She did that on purpose. It gives us a certain style to it, right? It adds warmth and kind of meat on the bottom and then drives her through to the next section. But she kept that lighter ass bass up on top. Really kind of cool. Fun little trick that she threw in there. Sweet. The other thing I want to point out here that I'm just intrigued by, I've watched her perform a lot in different videos here and there, and I have not been as convinced that she means what she's saying as I am here. Now, that might just be because here I actually have a camera right up in her face. It might just be because there's a story already tied to this song and her imagination has a lot more to go with already. And so it has this through line rather than trying to deal with some of these songs that are just kind of vague emotions being expressed sometimes. Don't know. It'd be interesting to talk to her. But what I'm loving is that I feel like she's singing to me. She's saying these things to me. Now, is that always a good thing? Not always. We don't always want to perform feeling like our audience is a direct part of this conversation, that we're talking to them specifically. That's for specific moments in performances, and it wouldn't be really appropriate for this show because she's talking to someone else in the show when she's singing this song. So her communication should be directed to that other person while keeping the audience in the loop, right? So they can participate as a third party, a voyeuristic party. But in this case, she's on film. She's got this camera right in her face. There's no illusion that she's in the middle of a musical or an opera. So she is turning us into that other characters that she's singing to. And that's thrilling as an audience member. It makes us feel like we're part of this performance and we're connected to her. It also helps her feel like she's communicating with a real person, and it makes it easier as a performer to believe what you're saying when you feel like you're really talking to someone else. So try it. Whenever you get up to sing, whether that person that you're talking to is real or imaginary in front of you there, imagine that there's someone in front of you, or put someone in front of you and really try to convince them, talk to them, make them believe that what you're saying is real. Do you believe that here? Do you believe that what she's saying is real? I think so. She's being super expressive with her face, super nuanced, all kinds of different thoughts and emotions coming out, both in her face, her torso, her hands, her body, her everything is going to communicating each phrase that she's singing and doing it in a way that just feels like we're talking to a real person. And in this particular person's world, they sing everything that they say. That's kind of what we're looking for with music theater, and she's doing an awesome job.
Kiss me goodbye, I'm defying gravity, and you can pull me down.
Put me down. You'll notice that moment, she went from this A position towards an position. It got rounder and deeper. Forward and back. It stretches further and further back. That A is really wide in the back, and it's like a wide box in the back. This forward, back, really rounded in the back. Gives us this warmer, richer kind of sound, which will also make it heavier and harder in that middle higher range to sustain and work. Not always. I can argue with that, but for most people here at the start, you're going to notice if you're doing that, it's probably going to make it heavier and harder to sustain up top. And you'll notice that she's just using it in this lower range here, this middle low range. So really cool that she's giving us a variety of different colors and sound that really connect us with what she's doing, really feels expressive, but she's doing it intelligently. So it's happening at the right places in her voice and her range. Now you might think, well, that seems really contrived. Not so. The reality is when we speak, if we get more emotionally engaged, we start feeling emotions that make the pitch rise in our voice, we're going to change things here in our mouth. It's going to change. We're not focusing on it. We're not doing it purposely, but it's going to happen. As a singer, the challenge is we just have to tie those natural behaviors and modify them a little bit so that they work in our favor as a singer so that we can sustain these pitches over specific durations. Let's keep going.
Unlimited. The future is unlimited. And I just had a vision, almost like a prophecy.
Body language matches the music, slows down. Love it.
Crazy. True, the vision's hazy, but I swear someday I'll be up in the sky, defying gravity. I'm flying high, defying gravity. And you
Notice how forward and flat that tongue is, how the upper teeth just sky. We might think it's sky. We say the word and it feels like more an on and back. Say hug, sky. That's how most of us are saying it, sky, right? But she's going with modifying in the back, putting this in the back, sky. Keeps it really forward, really bright, makes it so crystal clear and easy and clean on top. So good. Then you'll notice when she gets beefy again for a moment there, back to that and then she pops right back to that
pull me down.
What's with the vibrato thing? Well, music theater, especially this style, The kind of stylistic thing that we do with vibrato is it's straight tone and then a little vibrato at the end that lets us cut off that note easier, right? So the analogy would be we take a rubber band, we pull it tight, and if we were to cut this tight rubber band, it would snap our fingers and it would be really unpleasant and abrupt. So instead, to be able to cut it off and to cut it down without it snapping our fingers and being really abrupt, we loosen that tension a little bit and we get a little bit of vibrato before we cut the sound off. That's kind of the stylistic rationale behind what's going on here.
So if you try to find me wrapped in the western skies, as someone told me lately, everyone deserves a chance to fly. And if I'm flying solo, at least I'm flying free. For those who ground me, take a message back from me. Tell them, hey, I'm defying gravity. I'm flying high, defying gravity. And soon I'll match them in renown.
Okay, is this a subtle song? No, it's not a subtle song, right? High energy, really expressive song. So is her being more animated than we might have in just discussion valid? Definitely. It's essential that she be as expressive as she can possibly be because it's such a big song. It requires so much movement and she's doing such an awesome job with it. I love how much energy she's bringing to this. So cool. I'm also super excited because if you've ever recorded in a studio with just a wall and like Christmas lights behind you and that's about it, you can realize how hard it is to bring this level of intensity and engagement without all the other trappings of a full musical around you. It takes a lot of imagination and a lot of focus to stay in this imaginary world that she's created. And I think she's doing a stunning job. I think this is probably the best I've heard her sing, probably one of my favorite performances of hers ever. Love it.
And nobody in all of us knows it that there is or was is ever gonna bring me down. Bring me
Okay, so my challenge to you is this. Take this on a laptop, on a computer, on your phone, and either go to where you have a mirror or a video camera on you. Then sing the same thing, trying to match exactly what she's doing with her jaw, tongue, teeth, upper lips, and what you imagine she's doing back here in the back of her mouth, and see what happens to your sound. Try to match it exactly. Now, do I want you to sound exactly like her? No, but I want you to notice what happens when you put your mouths in those shapes, in those positions. Just pay attention. You'll probably notice some things that are surprising or shocking to you. Some things where you're like, wow, that's totally it. And maybe some other things that make it a little harder and uncomfortable here. Because it's not just what's happening on here that's making her successful. There's other things that she's doing with her breath that are making it work for her really, 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 really well. But for now, just really focus on matching what you're seeing here in the vocal mechanism up in her mouth, tongue, teeth, lips, back here in her oropharynx, and see what that does. Really try to match it and see what changes happen to your voice, and then go back and do it like you normally do it and would do it all the time, and go back and forth until you can really identify the different feelings and what they're doing. And then try doing one of them at a time. Just one element of it at a time and see what each element does. I think you're going to learn a ton just by doing that. Don't forget to click like and subscribe down below. Tell me what else you want me to react to. Tell me why you loved her performance. If you want a lesson, you could book a time with me at foundyourvoice.com. You can also send me short video or audio clips on wizio.com if you want a quick reaction or tips and suggestions of what you can do to make your singing or performing even easier. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. See you next time.